everybody, and welcome back to the Drive Pink Games. I am your host, Saur, and I'm here with my lovely co host, Scotty. And today we have a tier list game for you. Scotty, tell them the rules.
Here's the rules, and you guys better get amped up. We have 15 seconds per player to give them a grade based on our preseason expectations. So, a guy like Yannick Bright has certainly done very well compared to expectations. Maybe a guy like Lionel Messi, because he hasn't been around as much, might not be quite as high on the list. You have 15 seconds to take a player. We will go back and forth, but it will be frantic and it will be chaotic. And that is the point because this is Drive Pink Games. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first, knowing you only have 15 seconds?
You know what? I already have my first player in mind, so I am going to go first and make it easy for myself. You ready?
You want to count us down?
3, 2, 1. Diego Gomez. Exceeds expectations, absolutely baller of a season, has been phenomenal throughout. Goals, assists, tackles, interceptions, and games winning tackles and
Awesome. You're done.
everything in between.
My guy is Yannick Bright, exceeds expectations. He was a super draft pick, and I thought we liked what we saw in the preseason, but he was so much better, and he's become a main staple in the starting lineup. Give me Yannick Bright for exceeds expectations.
Cello Wigan, below expectations. Started off the season being solid. We thought he was a good replacement for Yedlin, which he has been, but then we saw Ian Frey in that position and it all went downhill from there. Needs to pick himself up, pull up his socks, and get ready for the postseason because we need the playoffs and we need him in full form. Next.
Give me Sergio Busquets, who has been so good both as a defensive midfielder and a center back. He's played the most minutes on this team. He is always available, exceeds expectations because he is a star.
I'm going to go with Toto Aviles, and this might be a little bit complicated and controversial, and you might disagree on this. Meets expectations. He's been good when he plays. I think he's a really good centre back. Could potentially be a very good partner to David Martinez, but he hasn't been phenomenal. He hasn't been too bad. Cuts out the red cards. I maybe even put him in exceed expectations, but he stepped up a little bit this season and he's been good.
Give me Drake Callender for meets expectations. He was so good. He got called up to the national team last year. He has been just as good, even though there was 8 or 2 high-profile mistakes. He has been still very solid for this team, and he's been a captain, and I love Drake Callender. Give me meets expectations.
Redondo, and I think I'm doing myself a little bit of an injustice by picking him because he can be a controversial figure. I'm going to go with below expectations. $8 million paid for him. We thought he's going to be an absolute superstar, and don't get me wrong, he's been good. He's done his job when we needed him to, but he hasn't been that X factor that we want from him. He just hasn't hit that level, and for that, I think it's below expectations. Give him another season, and I think he's going to be phenomenal.
Give me Luis Suarez for exceeds expectations. People were talking about him in the preseason as if he couldn't move around. He couldn't run. His knees were broken. Taylor Twellman was saying he should probably just retire. And all he's done is put himself on pace to lead the league in goals scored. Luis Suarez, as great as he is, still exceeds expectations.
Robert Taylor, again, one of my favorite players on the team. And I think he's been decent. Lately, he's been a little bit underwhelming, but still going well in terms of his goals and assists, almost similar compared to Gomez. So for me, he's doing exactly what we need of him. And hopefully in the playoffs, he blows everyone out of the water.
All right, I'll do it. Give me Lionel Messi below expectations. When he's on the pitch, he's phenomenal. He really is. It's just a matter of how often he's on the pitch. I know that he puts Argentina first, and that is fine. But I just want more Messi. And so for me, my expectations were he was going to be the best player in the history of the league by far. And he's only just about the best player in the league this year.
Julian Gressel, and if we had done this maybe 2 months ago, this would be a different conversation. I'm going to go with meets expectations. He has done everything we needed of him. He has been great filling in that right wing spot when Messi's been out. He's been assisting. I think he has 12 assists this season, maybe even more. And you know what? He's become a difference maker, and that's what we need.
Give me Jordi Alba. Meets expectations. He's been very good. He's given us a surprising number of goal contributions. 15 goal contributions, 4 goals, 11 assists. That's even better than his pace from last season. I'm tempted to put him in exceeds expectations. He has, I think, led the team in most man of the match performances, or he's right up there. He has at times been our best player. Give me Jordi Alba being the superstar we thought he was.
I might have gone with exceed expectation, but it's your tier list. So I'm going to go with David Martinez. Exceeds expectations. Might I say more? 4.5 games has been superb in 4 of those games. The half, he got a red card, which can maybe pull him down to meet expectations, but he's transformed our defense, is our first choice for a center back, and I think moving forward, he's going to be great for this team. So exceeds expectations and long may it continue.
Give me Franco Negri meets expectations. We knew he wasn't going to play a ton this year, but whenever he's played out there, he's provided solid MLS quality starter, play. And he's been good, man. It's just a matter of how many minutes has he gotten. And unfortunately, he's behind Jordi Alba, but still a very good player. Give me Franco Negri meets expectations.
You ready for this one? I'm going to put Matas Rojas and exceed expectations. I didn't think he was going to be that good when he joined. And I thought, do we need another right winger? And his left foot has been an absolute rocket, but he's been good. He's been involved. And I think he, for me personally, has exceeded my expectations because I didn't think he'd be that good. And he's been a key player to this team, man. So Matas Rojas in that green spot.
Give me Noah Allen exceeds expectations. He has not played his natural position more than a handful of times this entire season, and yet he has been a solid contributor. He provides pace in the back line when you need it. He has played in some big games as a center back, and he has done it well. I wouldn't have expected that from him. He hasn't played as a left back because they have 2 really good left backs in front of him, but based on what he's done and what I would have expected from him, I think he's exceeded expectations.
You're on time. I'm going to go with Cesar dos Santos, who's incomplete in my books because he's only played 2 games. One of them was not necessarily his best game for Inter Miami. And then another game where he played really well against Puebla. We kept a clean sheet. He provided a little bit of playing out from the back, sweeper, keeper sort of tactics. But I think we haven't seen enough of him to say whether he met expectations or not. So for me, I'm going to give him an incomplete.
I'm just going to take him now. Ian Frey exceeds expectations. We didn't know what we were going to get from him coming off the injury, but when we have gotten minutes from him, it has been phenomenal. He has been an X factor. All I want is more Ian Frey, so I have to give him the best grade because he's been great.
Leo Campana, man. Again, a very controversial and divisive figure in our Inter Miami fan base, and I'm going to put him in meets expectations because I feel like he's done his job when he needs to come off the bench and score a few goals. That goal against, I forget which team, DC United, where he scored an absolute banger, was exactly what we need of Leo Campana. Unfortunately, with Suarez coming in, he's lost a little bit of time and a little bit of growth that we could have seen from him this season. But I think he's meeting expectations, and hopefully in the playoffs, he can contribute a bit more.
Give me David Ruiz for meets expectations. He has played 29 games this year. The team lead is Julian Gressel with 34, Busquets with 33. So David Ruiz playing 29 games. I know he's had a highlight reel mistake in terms of getting a red card, but aside from that, he's provided a persistent, consistent, quality, solid minutes as a midfielder, fresh young legs. He's done exactly what I would have wanted from him for being our 6th, 7th choice midfielder. He has, in my opinion, exceeded expectations.
All right,
I'm met expectations.
I'm gonna go for Ryan Saylor. Meets expectations, right? Exactly what we thought he would be. He doesn't overstay his welcome, plugs in really well when he needs to in certain positions. Center back, he's been asked to do a job from time to time. He's done it a few times, maybe not as comprehensively other times, but I wouldn't expect anything more from him. I don't think I expected anything less from him. He's doing a job there, and I think he's met expectations. Next.
I think this is the last easy one. Give me Leo Afonso and exceeds expectations. This is a super draft pick that has gone on to have an impact. He has gone on to win a game for Inter Miami. We're talking about winning the Supporters Shield right now, and those 3 points in Philadelphia are a huge reason why he has been so much better than anyone could have expected from him when we started this season.
Unfortunately, season's probably over for him, but I would agree with you on this. I'm going to go for Lawson Sunderland. Incomplete, man. I don't think we've seen enough of him to say whether he's exceeded expectations or not. I would maybe say time to put him into below expectations as well, given that we would have maybe expected him to do a bit more. But given how much competition we have in that midfield, I think it's an incomplete for me.
Yeah, only 200 minutes from Sunderland. I think that makes sense. Give me Benjamin Kramaski in below expectations. He was a phenom. He was the golden boy as a rookie. And I wish I had more than 15 seconds, but I think because of Diego Gomez's emergence, I think because of Redondo's bringing in Redondo and the price tag, he hasn't gotten quite as many minutes as he's probably demanded based on his play. And because of that, he hasn't had the output, but he still has a game winning goal. And I do appreciate that. I love you, Benha, but below expectations.
Controversial one, but I might agree. Two more. I'm going to go with Sergei Christoph. I think he's been okay, but I feel like it's been a little bit below expectations. And if he was on top of his game, if he had done exactly what we needed him to do, we may not have needed to go for another defender. But then we got in Nico Freire, who showed that he was a step above quality compared to Christoph. And I just feel age is catching up to him, and he's maybe now ready to take a step back from being a leading centre back to being a role player on this team. So for me, below
Give
expectations.
me
All right, Scotty,
Nico
take us home.
Freire
Last one.
as incomplete. I think when we brought him in, it was to be a star for this defense. And while he was building towards becoming a star for this defense, it coincided with his injury. And so we never got to see exactly what he was going to be in terms of his full blossom at Inter Miami. That was cut short. And so I think for Nico Freire, we have to give incomplete. Last one on the list, no picture, but Tata Martino. What do you think? I think we should both go with this one.
I'm going to go with below expectations, man. He has the best assembled roster in the history of the MLS. At this point in the season, we should have at least won 2 trophies. And when it mattered the most, Tata Martino let us down just a little bit. But in the absence of Messi, he's done really well. Yet I will stay below expectations because we expected to win a trophy by this point in time, and that's what we haven't done. What do you say?
Give me incomplete with Tata Martino. Win the MLS Cup, win the Supporter Shield. You get a meets expectations. If you don't, you get below expectations. And I think it's really that simple. You have at times gotten us to play great soccer, and at times you have gotten us to lose in the most important games because of what you did. So win the trophies at the end of the season. You get to meet expectations. If not, you failed below expectations.
All right, guys, this has been Drive Pink Games. We've had a fun time assembling this tier list. I don't know if you agree with us. I don't know if I agree with Scotty, but let us know in the comments what you think and what your tier list for expectations for these players would be. And until next time, I'm your host, Saur, with my co host, Scotty. See you in our podcast.